magic middies. Will they get you over the line this season? Will Jake have Tedesco this week? Maxi, the consistent keeper. Ryan Hadley, Australia's next test fast bowler. Timmy, the 2020 SuperCoach champion. And Savs, the Newcastle. Tommy Turbo tragic.
Are you ready for some football?
We're ready for some football, baby.
All right, here we go.
You're now listening to the SuperCoach Experience Podcast.
Yo, what is up? Welcome back to the SuperCoach Experience Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Savage, the coach of the Savage Burbos. We're here for the Sunday weekly wrap-up for round 14. I'm joined here for the first time in a couple of weeks. He went on a bit of a rendezvous overseas. He went back to Las Vegas where round one kicked off. I think you were trying to find some form overseas, but you haven't managed to find any.
You've hit the nail on the head there. I didn't find any form. And my form was okay while I was over there. And I've come back and the team's just turned to mud this week. But ups and downs. You and some of the other boys. Mikey had a good round as well. You had a decent rounds. You are flying, so at least someone's flying the flag well for the experience.
How did you go on the weekend?
At the moment I'm not even cracking 1,000, which is it's awful. Didn't grab Latrell, Captain Drinkwater, Karen. A pretty bad one. I didn't want to say dead, but it looked like it.
He's dead in the words.
It's just kind of just one of those rounds where nothing goes well for you. I think the only thing that went well was bringing in Nick Meaney, who scored a ton. But it was just one of those weeks. I think it would have gone a lot differently had New South Wales won the Origin. I wouldn't have brought in Fafita. I would have brought in Latrell. I probably would have brought in Appy instead of Brandon Hands as well. So that one little thing and. It's so different, but you got to live with your with what you do.
Yeah, it's funny how that works out because Latrell is looking really likely for Origin now, which is, he's not a buy now after that week because he's pretty much locked into that left center spot in Origin. But I guess we'll talk about it when we speak about the Rabbitohs. But myself, 13-18, it was looking like a bigger score leading up to today. I think this last game really ruined my weekend. Getting in Brendan Hands for 32. He got the minutes, so I'm pretty happy with that. And hopefully he updates a bit. Like I'll take 40, I guess, but 32, bit awkward. Matt Burton not quite hitting 40, so he's in my trade plans for next week. And there's a lot going on there. First of all, massive week of New South Wales players in particular backing up and absolutely killing it. Zach Lomax, Brighton To'o to headline that. But what are your early trade thoughts and what are you thinking of doing leading into round 16?
Geez, I really haven't had a thought of it. I won't have a second front row this week, but I think that's fine. Just cop an AE. I don't really have any bad AEs. They kind of all just seem to play every week, so it doesn't really matter. But I think maybe Blaze Tuilagi, I'm not too sure what his break even will be. He might be on the chopping block. He might have capped out. Saz, I'm sure you can.
I'm going to try and find it. Jay Schubert on Twitter usually updates things pretty quickly. He hasn't quite done it yet, but I'll keep you updated.
Yeah, so Blaze Tuilagi, if he looks like he's capped out, he did score a try today, but take that away. It's a 33. It did look pretty good, but. He might be someone to make way for either a better player or even a downgrade and maybe get some cash as well. Like you can make money just going down to Dallin. You can maybe net 100K just on that move alone. Yeah.
My early trade thoughts, I was banking on Jerome Hughes to get a bit lower so he would drop in price. My plans were to go to Matt Burton to Jerome Hughes, bank 100K. I can still do that, but I just bank a bit less money. And then Blaze Tuilagi to Dave Fafita via Dylan Lucas. I'm pretty locked into that, to be honest. I think with how things have played out this weekend, I could have done different moves this week. Like I could have done Burton to Jerome Hughes this week, but my trades were pretty good as it was. I did David Armstrong to Cody Walker. And I did Levi to Brendan Hands. not the greatest, but I guess we'll take it. And I'm pretty happy with that. I'm over the next 2 weeks, I'll pretty much have 200K in the bank with every player I want to have. So I'm pretty happy with that going forward. But let's wrap up the round. We started on Friday night. St. George Illawarra took on the
Tigers.
West Tigers, and the Tigers, they had a good first half, but they stunk it up in the end. Zach Lomax, 170. He was traded out by the masses last week. 963 people traded him in. He makes about 80K, so he goes up to 750K, still in an affordable price range. So if you want to get him for the season, he's probably a buy next week.
Yeah, it's a tough one because I guess after next week, his price is going to go skyrocket, and then you expect it to plateau and come down. But the way he's going, obviously he's not going to play the Origin games, but we just saw that he's probably going to back up, so it's not really going to affect any Dragons because I'm pretty sure they don't play any of the major buys. He absolutely brained it, and definitely won. If you, I guess, Blade Solangi to him, it's going to cost you a bit, but he's definitely a top 4 centre wing, Zach Lomax.
Yeah, it's not going to cost you too much. I think in a bad side, he's probably. I think that last buy round in round 20 is probably the only chance he might not back up, but they're in a pretty awkward position where they can probably make the 8, the St. George Illawarra Dragons, if they keep winning games. So I wouldn't be surprised if they just manage his workload through the week and he just backs up every week and plays and maybe gets an early spell here and there, depending on Gabe's situation. He didn't on the weekend, though, so I guess it's weird because it was 2 days later after Origin, and he played the whole game and they're winning by 50, like ridiculous. Ben Hunt, 128 points. Not really SuperCoach relevant, but I did see, I think someone in the top 10 owns Ben Hunt, so that's nice for them. Tom Eisenhuth, 75 points. He will be about 500K. He's been really good this season, just a tackle bot machine. I've seen a lot of people have a bit of chat about him, a bit vanilla for my liking, but he's getting the minutes, he's getting the points, and he's got that dual flexibility.
Yeah, early on in the season, he's definitely one that, we could have picked up, should have picked up, really. He was quite cheap, but kind of now when he's very meat and potatoes, he kind of at second row doesn't have that ceiling, and at centre wing doesn't have that ceiling as well. So, I'd much rather be chasing other guys that, have much more of a ceiling than big tackle bot Tom Eisenhuth.
Yeah, that's for sure. And the St. George Illawarra Dragons have buy in round 16, I'm pretty sure. I'll just double check that. I'm pretty sure they do. Yeah, they have the buy in round 16. So a lot of these players that we're targeting, we probably don't want to get them in because they don't play round 16.
And they're also not going to play the Tigers every week. So that's something to consider as well.
That is true. The Tigers are looking pretty bad at the moment. Alex Seifert, top scores for the Tigers, 88 points, break even of 6. So he makes quite a bit of money, goes above 400K. Second row only. He's someone I probably wouldn't consider, but I saw him in a lot of early draft teams.
Yeah, early on he was touted to kind of play lock at the start. So there was at 280K, whatever he was a good pickup. But I watched that game and he had some absolute brain snaps in that game. He's one screw loose of getting himself sent off. He's some dumb plays as well. They don't have IPAP or Bateman there, so he's potentially locked into that edge spot. But yeah, I wouldn't really be going towards him. He's going to be nearly 400K, so I'd stay away.
I agree. I think this time of year, you don't want to be getting in players like Alex Seifert for the rest of the year. Api Coruscant, 75 points. That's 270 scores in a row. So it goes up to about 560K. I think that's a very good price for a hooker like him. There is the little bit of origin concern, but Robson was one of the better origin players, so wouldn't be too concerned about that. But with the buy coverage and goal kicking, are you interested at all?
Yeah, I was interested. I guess it depends on, your hooker situation. I think this week was probably the week to get him. He kind of bottomed out at like 510K. You say shouldn't be concerned about Origin, but I think the fact that we lost and kind of lacked a bit around the ruck, I think Appy's someone that is probably going to be very considered. by Madge Maguire. But even though I think he's a top, 5 hooker, so even if he does play Origin, I think he even kept the goal kicking. I mean, I know Lob's a bit of a goal kicker as well, but Happy keeps the goal kicking, so he's always got that to increase his floor, even though Tigers don't score many tries.
Yeah, they don't score many tries, and he doesn't really kick them from the corner either. Alex Twal is a very interesting one. He's starting at lock, playing big minutes between about 60 minutes, about 500K, second row, front row. He seems to be in the conversation in the buy period every year, and I kind of say the same thing every year. It's a bit weird to kind of look and get him in at this time. 50 points, I don't want that every week. I'd rather Samuel Afanu, who scored 49 points on the weekend with that dual flexibility and a lot cheaper.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. Twal, I mean, like you said, weird. I'd say boring and vanilla and basic. It's just not exciting, really, that selection.
The difference between Twal and a lot of front rowers is Twal is a try scorer. So he can. We've got Tim Moody in the chat. Seafarth spelt incorrectly versus Jack Hetherington would be epic. Ask your questions on the YouTube and we will answer them as we go along. Timmy Moody, I think he's got a bit of chip in the step because he's had a good week this week. So good to see him.
Yeah, I could tell this week that Tim was obviously having a good week because he was actually in the chat and he was chirping a bit, which is
he was like that last week.
If he had a bad week, he's usually a bit.
He's usually he just keeps to himself. But then he's had some good weeks. I think he's ranked. Was he ranked 1600 the last time, or was that Mikey? I don't know. But they've had very similar.
I think Mikey's just ahead of. Well, he's a lot ahead of me now, but he was only a couple of points ahead of me. And I think Tim thinks around the same as us, so he'll probably go ahead of me as well.
Lockie Galvin, 28 points with a break even of 0, so he goes up to about 550K. A lot of reports around him and his broken hand and his manager meeting with the likes of Richardson this week and Benji. So there's a lot of noise there. Do you think what are your thoughts? Because I feel like a lot of people will trade him out this week because he will have a bit of a higher break even than we have seen in the past, and he is at good value. But is it worth just waiting another week?
It's a tough one. I mean, the early reports is he's not going to play this week. They're going to rest him, kind of sort out some maybe contract extension if they can do that. I mean, he's going to be a number for the buy. He's been killing it apart from that low score, so. I don't know. I'm happy to hold him as long as you got decent enough cover. Obviously, Cody Walker would have been a great guy to get this week. Potentially, still could be a good get. So I guess him to maybe a Cody Walker could be a good shout. But other than that, I don't really see any other options at 5'8". So
that will cost you about 50 or 60K this week. So I don't think that's a bad option going from Galvin to him. But I think with him, I'd just personally just wait a week and have your plans around maybe being flexible to sell him in round 16. But if he's only out for round 16, then he's got pretty good buy coverage elsewhere anyway. So I'd probably just hold on. But I've also got Ethan Strange in my center wing, so I can shift Ethan Strange up and get anybody I like. So it's pretty nice having that flexibility. We've got not much else. Alex Lobb, 28 points with a try. A lot of people were looking at him. Didn't get that goal kicking we're expecting. That is not a good score.
No, it's poor. I mean, the Tigers didn't have a lot of ball either. So for wingers, that's kind of the death of them. They're not really going to have any runs and attacking stats aren't going to come by. If you need a downgrade option, he's kind of the only really one there. So, I mean, it's a tough one. I guess if you need cash to go up to a, Fafita, he's obviously a decent, Armstrong to him, maybe Talangi to him. And then you kind of got an AE nightmare potentially for the rest of the season, but it's kind of team dependent. If anyone goes there, if you need cash.
I was saying prior, probably 5 minutes into the game, people were asking about Lobb, and I was saying, yeah, he's dog shit. He's not going to be a SuperCoach option. And then they put up the kick for him to score that try in the corner, and he looked like he just was going to be an immortal or something straight after that. But then pretty quiet for the rest of the game.
Only thing you did for the whole game.
Only thing you did. We've got some questions in the chat regarding Tim Moody. Tim, shut up. I've done poor. I'm just resilient.
Yes. We are resilient, Timmy. I agree.
Resilient. Matthew Sherwood, 1303. You beat that, Tim. Tim got 1177. So today really messed with him because he was looking like a very similar score to myself. Riley, Martindale, Zeri for Armstrong.
Well, it's going to be a big watch because Armstrong was out with an injury, so he could come back on the wing. It's kind of a wait and see. He did, but I mean, Tuala doesn't really do anything. They kind of have, a potentially spare wing spot, which I think Armstrong, it might be where they're looking for him to play, maybe wing, so he could be on the wing, but even on the wing, I don't think he's really relevant. Cherry, the Bulldogs look good, so decent.
Yeah, option. They do. Reese says 1140 with Drinky captain, ranked just inside top 10K. Would you expect red or green? I would say green. Are
you sure?
Top 10K, yeah, or 10K.
I reckon it's probably just going to be where he's at.
Yeah,
I think pass for like 1150, 1200.
Yeah, probably. And we got Matthew Sherwood. It's all right, boys. Mulatalo and Lob will be the same price in 2 weeks. We'll speak about Mulatalo very shortly. So let's move on to the next game, and the next game was the Saturday 3 p.m. game. It was the Bunnies versus the Gold Coast Titans, and the Bunnies won 46-12, headlined by Latrell Mitchell, 150 points. We did speak about it at the start of the show. He's probably locked into Origin now, so are you considering getting him in? Like, if he is, even if he is a front runner for Origin?
Well, he's kind of still unknown. I mean, the fact he wasn't picked in game one was bizarre to me, so I know we've obviously lost Suwali. Bradman Best probably won't be back. So, I mean, he's not exactly locked, but the fact that there is a bit of doubt in there kind of is steering me away. I think this was the week to get him, or even like you did a week earlier, get him last week to kind of load up for the games ahead. So I think this week was the week to get him. Next week, maybe find the next guy who's going to score 150. I mean, there was a few of them this week, but they're kind of all Origin players. So
yeah, you wouldn't have been able to pick it for sure.
No.
So Latrell Mitchell goes up 77,000 and we'll have a break even of 38. So at 77,000, he goes up to 830K. Break even of 38. So he's not an absolute must have. If he doesn't play round 16, you can wait a week after. You will pay a little bit more, but it's probably worth just waiting a week, especially since they're playing the Broncos, although the Broncos have kind of leaked a few points here and there.
Yeah, I was about to add that. I think they do play the Broncos. They want to bounce back. I mean, they have been leaking points, but they don't get. I mean, they're more 30 by the Titans, but they don't really get flogged. They don't really get 46 points put on them. Although Souths do look good, but yeah, Latrell. I mean, the price isn't going to go through the roof. If he doesn't get picked for Origin, I still think everyone's going to be aiming for him for round 16. So, and he at worst he's going to be what high 800s.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be kind of out of reach. I mean, so yeah. I mean, unless you think he's going to go nuts against the Broncos, happy to wait and see Origin selection.
Cody Walker, 103 points. He goes up 45,000 with a break even of 2. That's a 99 and 103 consecutively. He's looking good at halfback. I was a bit worried about him playing on the right, but I think he got quite a few. Stats by backing up through the play, and I like seeing that from him. But what that has done with him going to halfback is someone we kind of look at every year. That's Alex Johnston. He got 9 points, and the Rabbitohs put on 46 points to the Titans. 9 points, so he loses a buttload of money. He loses 54,000 with a break even of 90 next week, so it'll be 440K. I honestly, we can talk about Cody and AJ, but I honestly can't pick AJ if Cody Walker is not playing on the left side.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I mean, I don't think we can pick even the right side. I think Gagai's kind of gone out of reach, but none of the South's backs really score that well. It's kind of all Latrell or Cody. So, yeah, I'd be staying away from all the backs, and definitely AJ. I mean, how do you score 46 points and, one of the leading try scorers in the NRL doesn't get one? That's crazy. Bizarre.
He's really gonna struggle to get too many tries this year if Cody's on the right. He will get some, but like historically in Canberra when White was playing on the left winger was never predominantly a try scorer. So it's going to be
White's not much of a ball playing half. So
no, he's not.
It plays outside, he ain't going to get the ball.
Tallis Duncan played a few minutes for 51 points, 330K. Interesting option. He's kind of been someone I've been watching all year, but it's just a bit awkward at the moment.
Yeah,
like,
especially Cam Murray due back next week as well, so that's kind of going to knife him.
Moali, 81 points, 330K in the front row. He scored a try. He's looking pretty good, but I think for me, the Moali trap comes every year.
The mole trap.
The mole
loves
trap.
The mole.
Mikey would say. For the Titans, Fafita top scored with 81. He was not the top scorer the whole game. He was not involved. Like, I really expected him to come out and prove a point, and he was not involved until towards the end of the game when he scored that try.
He just kept running at Cody. Then he finally got some points.
Yeah, Jaden Campbell, though, really killed him on the inside. It really hurts when Kieran Foran is not playing inside him, but still, nonetheless, he's a premium SuperCoach option. 81 points. Would you be rushing to get him in next week? If you don't?
Yes. I mean, a lot of people. I rushed him in this week, but I'm pretty sure who do they verse? Yeah, they verse the Tigers. So, I think he's a bring in and a VCC option against the Tigers. I mean, Luciano Leilua scored 2 tries off the bench
on that left edge. So. Yeah, I like that. Jaden Campbell comes into the side, 78 points, so he'll make 16K and go up to 466. He looked all right in attack. It just didn't look like he helped the flow of their attack, but still SuperCoach-wise, he goes all right.
Yeah, and I mean, 5'8" as well, cheaper option. You make a bit of money going down from Galvin to him. I don't know. It's an awkward one for Campbell. I mean, he's so injury prone, it seems. And like you said, they stuff their attack. So I feel like they have to make changes, whether they throw Campbell back at fullback or something else. But I mean, when you get done by 30 plus, it's you got to make changes.
Brian Kelly, 65 points. Now, I'll read out his scores for the last few weeks. Since round 5, 83, 81, 73, 75, 50, 63, 73, 71, 65. That is consistency. Jesus Christ.
He does this every year as well, and nobody picks him up. He's just, I don't know how he does it. He just seems to score, your 70s, 80s every week, but no one ever has him. Yeah,
he's getting like 30 points in hit-ups every week, and he's getting at least 6 points in tackle busts most weeks. A few offloads here and there. He seems to get a line break every week as well. There was 2 weeks where he didn't get a line break, but maybe 644K. I think that's probably why a lot of people don't go there. But yeah, he's someone where if you get in your side, you wouldn't be disappointed at all. Moving on to the 5:30 game, Cowboys versus the Warriors. A lot of people went heavy on the Drinkwater captaincy, and he failed for 45 points. We should have seen it coming. The Warriors had their full strength team back, barring Sean Johnson. Fini Fuiaki top scores, though, who is chugging along nicely, -2 break even next week, and makes a little bit of money. What do you do with Fini Fuiaki? Do you look at trading him out in round 16 when he probably loses that 80 from last week in his rolling average? Or do you kind of hold him and hope that he gets big minutes after the Origin players back up?
It's a tough one. It kind of depends on if he ends up going back to the bench. I know he's still going to split time with Lukey, but I mean, he could even earn the spot over Lukey. I mean, he looked far better than him. Kind of depends on, if you have a player you need to upgrade to. I mean, there's a couple of second rowers. If you don't have an Eli Katoa, you don't have a David Tafita, it's a perfect guy to, I guess, be the 4 guy for him.
He looks really good. Like, in my opinion, looks a lot better than what Lukey's looking like at the moment. So I'm hoping he keeps that position, and he's someone you can kind of upgrade for not much cash later on.
I guess the only thing against him is he's already signed for the Titans for next year. So the Cows, I guess, are Dolphins, less likely to, I guess, play him over someone that they're already playing and investing in for the next year.
Yep. Val Holmes, 52 points. Cotto, 51 points. I mean, you'll take it for someone backing up. Tom Dearden, 49 points. Not much else doing for the Cowboys, I guess. Nanai, 17 points. So he loses a shitload of cash again. So he'll probably go back to 490 again, bottom out again, and then pick him up later on.
Make another 300K.
That's it. But the Warriors really dominated here. Tamari Martin, 111. He had a negative 44 break even. How crazy is that? Tamari Martin is one of the most expensive players in Supercoach after next week. He makes 132K and he'll have a break even of negative 24 next week. So 640K with a negative 24 break even.
That's nuts. Who would have thought? I mean, he didn't even really start the year, but who would have thought that, SJ goes down, Tamari Martin's going to become an absolute gun? I mean, he's been killing it for the last month. And he's kind of, if you got on him when he was cheap, I think he was like, 300 or something K he got down to.
Yeah.
Bravo to you, because he's been killing it, absolutely killing it.
There's a lot of players at this price, like Tyron Wishart, Jack Cole, who are absolutely killing it at the moment. If you have them in your side, you'd be so happy. If SJ is back next week, here's a hypothetical for you. The Warriors play, I'll see who they play next week. They play the Melbourne Storm. If SJ is back next week, do you play Tamari Martin? Or if he is not back, do you play him?
I mean, it depends on your numbers. But the way he's going, I mean, sure, play him. I mean, even when kind of SJ was there, he was still going quite well. So, I don't know. Yep. I'm glad I'm not in that boat.
Or neither. I'd probably not play him, to be honest, because if you have a look at his scores with SJ, he came back for the first 2 games. He killed it, but then he just went back to life. But the Warriors are better at the moment.
Yeah, and the Storm conceded some points to Newcastle. So, I mean,
they've been conceding points to everyone as well. So, good point there. Fanua Blake comes back with a ton. I was considering selling him a couple of weeks ago. Glad I didn't. This is why his pedigree is massive. So, best front rower in Supercoach. So, you want to get on him as soon as possible before the round 14 bye. He doesn't lose any money, 748K. So, he looks good. Chance Nickel clocks at 101 points. Makes quite a little bit of money, 740K. He will be a buy round option. Plays the Melbourne Storm next week, but the Titans in round 16. What are your thoughts?
I mean, this year he's been insane. He's one of the top averaging fullbacks as well, so you can't really go wrong with him. Even with SJ, when SJ returns, I mean, that's only going to, I guess, improve, his potential Supercoach output. So, I mean, if Latrell doesn't get picked for Origin, C&K, looks a great option.
I like C&K as well, and he is a bit of a cut price option from a Latrell. Hypothetical, if Latrell gets picked for Origin and you've had him, would you go Latrell to Chance in round 16 for 150K profit?
Yeah, it'd be nice to bank that cash. I mean, you kind of want to keep Latrell because I kind of see him as probably one of the best fullbacks for the season. If you have a Drinkwater, I'd happily shift Drinkwater to C&K. I mean, Drinkwater's not going to play 16, so
Latrell misses round 16 and 17 if he makes Origin. So it's quite a big hit to take.
Depends how you got your trades planned, I guess. But yeah, C&K for the buyers, I do like it a lot.
Yeah, I like it too. I think his definition of consistency in that position. Dallin Watini-Zelezniak, 450K with a score of 78. So he goes up quite a bit of money. He goes up to 30,000. We'll have a 3 break even next week. So it'd be 480,000. You can bank 120K by going Blaze Talangi to Dallin Watini-Zelezniak. If you pull the trigger, you got to pull it next week. if SJ is back, I think it's more of a slam dunk. But what are your thoughts? And do you have plans to get him in?
Yeah, I mean, I initially had Dallin and then sold him when he was, SJ got injured and he was in a bit of a rut. But it's a good price for him, especially with SJ potentially back next week. I mean, they're just going to attack that right side, and he's looking pretty good. I mean, he could have added a lot more points, Dallin. He kind of had a few, not go his way. He was a couple of disallowed tries as well. So, yeah, next week will be the time to get him with a low break even, going in the buys. And, yeah, like you said, netting, 120K from Blaze Tulangi could be a slam dunk. Feels weird, though, bringing in the same player I got rid of, about 6 weeks ago.
Yeah. It feels, I don't know about it. It's funny because he's not in good form. It feels like banking 120K from going Tulangi to him, it doesn't feel safe. It doesn't feel as safe as it should be. But I'd definitely be considering it potentially. I've got to see if SJ's back though. But we've got some questions we'll answer. Matthew Sherwood. Oh no, he already said that. Tim Moody, 1005. I don't know what he means there. William 30. What is the highest score people have seen? I got 1450 with Tulangi and Hughes to update. That's pretty big, but
there's a lot of big scores this week for players. So I think, I reckon 1,500 is going to be maybe even more than that.
Yeah, I reckon we'll see a lot. I actually saw a 1465, and that was yesterday. So yeah, a lot of people are pretty big. Matthew Sherwood, serious question. I have Sullivan and Schneider in my halves. 400K in the bank. Who would you trade in? I'd be looking at someone like Cody Walker, maybe Tamari Martin as a cash grab.
And then at halfback, I guess you got Hughes, Walker off his bye.
Hughes coming off 117 is a very good shout as well. So he'll have the low break even as well. Thoughts on grabbing CNK for Armstrong? I think that's a pretty good move.
Can't knock it. And
Timmy Moody is very active in the chat today. 100% green, 1140 top 10K.
Should have been on.
Loads of some. Yeah, what are you doing, Timmy? Call in, and we'll answer your call. All right, let's move on to the next game, Broncos versus Sharks. You want to kick it off, Jake? This is your team.
Oh, look, who needs Nico Hines when you have Tricky Trindle? I wasn't saying any of that in the first half. I was absolutely abusing him, and it kind of was that. The Sharks have been the same thing for that all year. Bad first half, a good second half. One guy who was on fire was Sifa Talakai. Cut price option. The problem is Wilton's not going to play next week, but he's kind of a week-to-week thing. So Sifa, as soon as Wilton's back, going to go back to the bench. But, if one of our edge forwards had a long, God forbid, touch wood, has a long season injury, Sifa's going to be absolute goldmine there with his, I guess, dual flexibility. 400K.
400K with the dual. I mean, very tempting. Joe Chan, very similar price. I mean, you've got to pay 100K for it.
Yeah, you still got to pay it. But yeah, I mean, Wilton, he will be back within the next couple of weeks. So, I mean, unfortunately, it's one we'd like to pick up, even a more expensive second roll down to him, net some cash, but unfortunately not going to happen. Sione Katoa, for me, got to try. KO Eero, 50 points again in base, just cannot get an attacking stat.
No.
Yeah, every time you post your team, Sal's a laugh. I was like, it must have, the first time I would have auto-corrected and you've just gone with it ever since. Is that what's happened with that? Is that why you do it?
Yeah, I think the first week I got him in premature against the Rabbitohs, and I think it auto-corrected to Kayak, and I think what I was saying is he's going to be a canoe because he's going to score for the price of two people or something. So I just kept calling him canoe.
Yes. Well, it's kind of working with him. Do you have any plans to get rid of him, Savs? I mean, he doesn't really have any ceiling at the moment, but he's banging out 50s.
I don't know if you've seen their draw, but
it's very nice. We burst nobody for the rest of the year.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to pass up because obviously he doesn't play 16, but he plays the Dolphins next week, who they've been good, but they do leak points sometimes. The Bulldogs in 17, they've been very good, But I think with his base, you can kind of let it go. But then Gold Coast, Tigers, Cowboys, Souths, Gold Coast, Newcastle, St. George, Warriors, and then Manly. So it's a very good draw.
Yes, and I guess him aside, there's a player outside him who's plummeting cash. And there was a little comment about him earlier on, Mulatalo. It's going to be nearly under 500K, or he could even be under 500K after this week. And I mean, when Hines comes back, I think Trindle probably keeps his left edge spot. So I think Ronaldo could be a one to pick up. The Sharks don't play around 16, but maybe after that, for under 500K, he could be a nice little one to pick up for the run home because we just went through their draw. And as Matthew Sherwood just said, Sharks kiss on the dick with the draw again, and I don't care.
Yeah. So he hits 500K. He'll have break even at 54. So if you're expecting him to lose much more cash, it's going to be much harder to come by for them big cash drops. He's pretty much at his lowest at the moment. Yeah. I would definitely wait another week.
Wait till at least 17.
Yeah, does play the Dolphins. If he tons up this week, it'll be 540K the next week. That's still a very good price for him considering. But I'm very interested. And I hope if Trindle keeps his spot, then I never thought I'd say that because Trindle is like, I reckon Trindle is a pretty bad player, but for some reason, it's because he likes to go that cutout hero ball to a Mulatalo, and that's why Canoe is not getting any attacking stats.
At the moment, with Hines out, Trindle's playing on the right side, and Atkinson's just doesn't have much really of a ball. I mean, Trindle plays both sides, so he's kind of like drifting across, but Atkinson doesn't really pass the ball. Over the Broncos, Carrigan scored a try. You talked about, middle players that can score tries. Paddy Carrigan scores his third. Top score with 81 after backing up from Origin. One guy who's going to be getting it quite cheap is Payne Haas. Savs. Now, front row's been a bit poo apart from AFB. Obviously, he's going to be locked into Origin. Is he one that, say he bottoms out in the next couple of weeks, you get, or you wait till after Origin?
For me, it all depends on Liam Henry and where Liam Henry kind of ends up. Payne Haas, he hits his break even this week, but he'll have break even of 66 next week.
Yeah, because he's still got that 100 in his rolling average from his last game, so it's kind of
I'm hoping through this Origin period. It sucks he came off the 100 in his last game, but I'm hoping through this Origin period he gets a few less minutes in the games backing up. And I think Haas was not in my plans at all to finish the season, but I think after that ton in the last game, and he scored quite well the game before, he scored 55 points this game, and he was on like 20 at halftime because he played the first 25 minutes. And I was thinking, great, he's going to lose a shitload of money and we're going to be able to jump on him. And then he comes out, just gets 55. So I think he, by far, is going to be my number one front row forward target. And it all depends on when Liam Henry kind of maxes in price, because this run Liam Henry has gone on is ridiculous. And, I think if he gets around that 80 BE and he's coming off the bench and all the Origin stars are back, I think you've got to move him on as soon as you can, because you don't want to lose that bulk cash that he's made.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like you said, absolutely braining it. And I guess he's probably one they're going to get rid of after Origin. I mean, Penrith are going to, like you said, rest their middle players. So he's kind of one that, after Origin, I mean, the way he's going, killing it for those that held him.
Well, he goes up to 480K. He'll have a -6 break even. So he'll have that for another 2 weeks, and they'll have a buy in between. They've got the round 19 buy as well, which is good. You don't need to necessarily hold him till round 19, but maybe Payne Haas is a purchase, maybe in round 18 even, or the week of 19. So you've got him, but then Haas probably won't back up after the third Origin. Henry probably will play big minutes in round 20. So it's a bit of a balancing act, to be honest. And yeah, there's
that's a later problem.
Yeah, we're going to speak about it tomorrow on our regular Tuesday podcast, but we're going to go through all the players that we want by the end of the season and have a list, talk about how many trades we have, and realistically, like, who's the priority. So I think Payne Haas is going to be definitely on top of that.
I can move on to the next game.
Yeah.
I don't really know any other options in that. I mean, Pia Kura, probably a sell. I mean, he plotted okay, but he just really doesn't offer much.
Yeah, he does not. Storm beat Newcastle Knights 36-28. What a game this was. Tyron Wishart, top scores for the Melbourne Storm, 122 points, 380K a couple of weeks ago, and now he just goes up a shitload of money, and he's going to be a great option for everybody. He goes up 70,000. He'll have a negative 22 break even next week, so 500K. 500K? Is he a buy?
I mean, Munster says he's not going to be rushed back, so he's kind of locked into that halfback spot. They're leading the comp, they're scoring points, and he's involved in a lot of it. So, I can't knock it. I mean, who would have thought that Tyron Wishart would be an option at this point of the season, or actually any point of the season?
And I get in the past, like, if Tyron Wishart has a negative break even, it's kind of like, oh no, don't do it because he can't keep it up. But I'm watching him play, and he looks strong. He looks strong when he carries the ball, and I think in the past he's been a bit small. The contact, he kind of gets dominated in contact, so the points he's scoring are quite reliant on other people putting him in good positions. But I'm confidently play him, knowing that he's got enough size on him to kind of bend the line a little bit more than he used to. Jerome Hughes, 117 points, hits his break even exactly. He has never turned up against the Newcastle Knights. His high score was 96 before that. Stays at the same price, unfortunately. I was hoping he'd drop a bit of cash, but there we go. He plays the Warriors and the Dolphins in the next 2 weeks. Popular option. I think it's funny because I was really upset that he got 117 because I was planning on going Matt Burton to him next week and banking 100K. But the good thing about him scoring 117 is I get him in and that stays in his average. He goes up in price significantly, and then he's closer to Hines when I'm ready to go to Hines or Cleary.
Yeah. I mean, you're finding the benefits out of everything. So, yeah, I do like that. I mean, yeah, he's not going to plummet down and, one bad score and he's plummeting down again. He's going to be up around that mark to, lessen the jump to a Hines. Who, I mean, Hines he's going to, 2 rolling average. They could be level in a couple of weeks. But, yeah, Melbourne, it's a soft-ish draw. I know they're versus the Warriors.
Dolphins.
Right. There's Tigers down not too far away as well. So there is some decent matchups for him. Jerome Hughes, premier halfback option. I mean, during the buys every year, he's always an option.
Yeah. And they play the Tigers in round 18, so that's actually pretty close as well. Canberra in 17, which is a pretty good one as well. Nick Meaney scores 108 points. You got him in your side. He goes up quite a bit of money, so he'll be about 650K, maybe a little bit more with a low break even. Is he a genuine center wing gun option? And we just talked about their draw. The center wings for the Melbourne Storm usually don't have that much upside, but he is kicking goals in a side that scores a lot of points.
Yeah, and I think with Munster not there, they attack their right like all the time. So it's always going through Hughes and it's always going right. And I guess even Green Anderson was a benefit of that. So I think, Nick Meaney, I mean, each year he kind of proves, I know he's back at centre, does have the goal kick and kind of make up for, being at centre. But, yeah, I mean, he's been on a run. I mean, I think the last 3 scores have all been over 70 or 75. So, yeah, I mean, he's going to go up probably like 60-ish K. So he's kind of getting out of range.
67K. So he will be 680K.
Yeah, it's kind of a bit of a jump. I mean, but there's a lot of centre wings around that sort of price, so it's just about choosing what one you want for the buy or even for the run home.
I agree. Hold on, I lost it for a second. Harry Grant, 63 points. He's near 700K, so just out of nowhere, he's become by far the most expensive hooker option. I was hoping him coming off the bench. We know when he comes off the bench, he actually scores way more. So he gets a bit of cash generation from that. So hopefully before round 20, he gets limited minute games where we can jump on post that. But Elias Katoa, 61 points. I think that's good to see considering there weren't really any attacking stats from him. There was 31 points in tackles, 4 points in tackle bust, and 30 points in run. That's brilliant. So he's a final 17 second row, in your opinion?
Absolutely. I think just attacking upside that he possesses and, 61 in pretty much base. So, yeah, that's gold.
Joe Chan comes off the bench, 20 points, actually loses a bit of cash. So Grant was floating the idea of getting a Jed Cartwright in his side and banking 100K from that trade. I think it might be about the time to consider doing something like that because I think Joe Chan really ruining your AE opportunities is not worth holding on to. And if you can bank 100K from it and you can get through the buys, as long as your depth is pretty good and you're happy with the cash generation in your side, I don't think it's a terrible move.
Yeah, I was going to add getting through the buys is probably the big one. I mean, we saw this round a lot of people struggling to get 17 players, like some were running with less than that. So, I mean, nothing to get some cash is all and good, but look at your numbers and what team you look like you're going to have for not just the big buys, but the buys that are after it because they kind of seem to catch out a lot of teams.
It is nice having a squad depth of 25. I feel like I haven't needed Joe Chan to play for me yet, but I think if you realistically can go to someone who can make money or can be an option later on in the season, it's probably the better way to go. But I don't hate the Nuff route because especially this week for me, when Brendan Hands and Lussick was named on the bench, it wasn't even an option for me because of the Joe Chan AE of 20 points. So although that 20 points was only 12 points less than Brendan Hands.
Exactly.
For the Newcastle Knights, Dylan Lucas top scores with 106 points. And I was saying the other day, I bought him in last week, disappointing 41, but he got named at center and I was livid, but went over for 2 tries. Very happy with his performance. I was saying in our group chat the other day that I think I'm going to hold Dylan Lucas for the season and maybe that Nuff strategy comes into play. Put Lucas up to the center wing and get that Nuff in the second row so I have cover in the center wing and second row as I need it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, and Dylan Lucas, I know, poor score last week, but it looks like he's pretty much locked into 80 minutes on the edge. So having that dual flexibility, we saw, I mean, he played center and scored a double. You expect him to go back to the second row next week. But yeah, I don't mind it. And even, having a dual second row center wing Nuff to kind of, flick between him or even if people still have Jamin Salmon for some weird reason, but, never know. You can kind of go that way. I don't mind it.
Dan Gaga, 100 points. He would have been a popular option a couple of weeks ago. He's bottomed out at 619, so you won't get him for any cheaper than that. Doesn't have buy coverage until round 19, so interesting one there. Fletch Sharp, 62 points. He looked really good. Fullback only though, so I think that's a bit awkward. It's really awkward, but he did look really good, and he probably keeps his spot over Armstrong, to be honest.
Yeah, I think Armstrong might find himself on the wing. I have a feeling that Tawala might get dropped.
I agree with that. Kaipius Paul, 60 points. Kaipius Paul obviously plays around 19 buy, but what are your plans with him? I think he's someone who is the number one candidate to move to an Ola Kawatu or a Isaiah Yeo or back to an Angus Crichton.
Yeah, after Origin, he's definitely a player to kind of sack. I mean, the bloke can't score a try. He's 200 centimeters tall, built like a tank and just can't seem to score a try. Maybe that will come. Who knows? Maybe once the floodgates open, like Alex Twal, they'll just keep coming. But yeah, he's kind of a player that not really getting the big scores. So yeah, after Origin, happily look to move him on.
Greggy Marju, 25 points, 82 break even, loses a lot of money. I mean, you're looking at his price drop and thinking, how juicy is that? But I honestly, I look at Greg Marju every week, and if I'm playing against someone who has him, I'm not scared at all.
Yeah, he's a shadow of what we saw last year. I mean, he's still getting all right. He's doing his run, tackle, bust, but just doesn't look like scoring at all. So yeah, stay off.
All right, Penrith versus the Manly Seagulls. What a crazy game this was.
This was nuts, this one.
Manly put on some points, but so did the Penrith Panthers. Brian To'o, 171 points. And it's just the story of people backing up. 630K, scores 3 tries. What a machine. Dane Laurie, 128 points. Struver, 103. Luai, 102. Jack Cole, 89 points. Jack Cole's in that boat, similar to Wishart. He actually makes a lot of money. I just had the screen up and it just bloody went away from me. But Jack Cole makes 90,000 with a break even of 10. So he was, we missed him.
Yeah, I mean he's available at 5'8", so he's just the one that everyone kind of missed. But yeah, I mean it's coincided with Nathan Cleary getting injured, then preferring Cole over Snyder. So yeah, he's had all these red flags and just none of them turned out to be red flags. So yeah, if you got on him, cheering. But yeah, kind of gutted that we missed out on him.
I know, right? Liam Henry, 82 points. Obviously, we said before, 480K, -6 break even next week. So he'll be someone who hopefully we can go to Haas for not much money. Isaiah Yeo, 73 points. Is he someone
easy
you'd consider in your final team? Like he just does it every week.
That's exactly that. He gets 70 points every week. He's the most consistent scorer. And I was going to say in the whole of SuperCoach, really, because he just bangs out every single week. Like, look at that. It's just consistency.
Oh, my God. Oh, he scored 55 against Cowboys.
He's got 55.
55 is his lowest score. That's ridiculous.
And the next one, yeah. So, I mean, after Origin, he's not an exciting pick, but if you want to lock in, 70 to 80 points, I say Yo's the guy.
I don't know. I don't hate it because if you've got someone there scoring 70 every week for you, and then you have these, Fafita, Olakawatu, Eli Katol around him, like he's just gonna turn a really good week into a better week just because you don't have that variance.
Yeah, you're not gonna cop a 45 from him.
Yeah,
so you're going to get an extra 30 points on what potentially could be a stinker score.
And when he scores a try, he's just that good. Isaac
tries often.
Yeah, true. Isaac Tungo, 41 points. He goes to 450K next week. I think he's someone I've been eyeing off for a long time, and I just can't do it just because of how poor he's going. But the minute Nathan Cleary comes back into that side, I'll be looking very closely.
Yes, I was about to add that if you weren't. He's definitely the beneficial of Nathan. Like we said earlier on the season, he was killing it. And ever since Nathan's kind of had his injury concerns, missing games, he's kind of been absent. So yeah, definitely one that we can pick up when Nathan returns.
Manly Seagulls, Tommy Talau, 4 tries for 149 points, makes 106,000 with a break even of -44, but that puts him up to 638.
That is nuts.
638K. He is owned by 4% of teams.
And they're cheering. We could have got him a near bottom dollar.
Yeah, ridiculous, isn't it?
Crazy.
He was never looking as good. He played center a little bit. He played a bit of wing, but he's back on the wing.
Month.
100 points last week, 51 the week before, 84 the week before that. But looking at that start, 57 points in his first game, 15 points in his second, 21 in his third. He was hardly screaming out by me, but he's just gone to another level. And I think it's just let him go because he's the type of player you buy for 640K for a cash grab. and he'll score consecutive 20 points to get you not much money. But Des Surgis really making an impact on the Talau clan. Ruben Garrick, 93 points, couldn't buy a goal to save his life, but he is awesome as a center wing option. He's definitely is he a top 4 center wing for you?
I think so. I mean, he got that 93 without kicking a goal, and he had 1 try assist. So yeah, definitely top 5 for me.
Yep. Ben Trebojevic makes quite a bit of money. He goes up 70K, 500K, and has 0 break even next week. So you'd be happy if you held on to Ben Trebojevic. 79 points. Timmy was tossing up between him and Brayley to play, and I'm glad he went the Ben Trebojevic route because that is crazy. One person I do want to point out on this team, Hamoli Olkawatu, 13 points, 93 break even. So he's someone to look out for in a couple of weeks. He loses 70,000. He'll have a break even of 149 next week. So he'll be 620K. We could potentially get him 550K in a couple of weeks.
That's nice. And I think everyone will be picking him up for 550K.
Yeah.
I mean, do we know how serious that injury was? They were saying that he could have came back on, but
yeah, they said they rested him for the game just because of Origin. So,
okay.
Hopefully he's back next week. I hope he's back next week so we can
cash.
Yeah, exactly. But knowing SuperCoach, he'll bloody come out and score 120. So interesting. Scrolling through the chat, no one talking about Sav's Mo. Why would anyone be talking about my Mo? I've always had the Mo.
Well, didn't you? Well, I mean, it was a month ago, but you shaved it off.
Yeah, I did.
Last time I was on, you shaved it off.
Yeah, I learnt my mistake because of that, and I grew it back. Hamando is in the chat. He says, love SuperCoach. I think this is Hammy from Sportsbet commenting. No, it's probably not. Brendan Daly, 998 in 600th. Ooh, brother. Hamando C on Qatar is crazy. Anthony Daniel, 1388. Captain Elias Katolwina had 6 players hit 100 plus.
I mean, it's good, but it could have been a lot better.
Could have been a lot better. You could have been really up there. Stefanos, Constantine, Hold Marju, and Tago, or flick them to DWZ and Mulatalo.
Marzo to Dallin, I wouldn't be getting Mully yet, though. Like we said, I think he's probably a get at 17.
I think, and like Tago as well, I'd like him for Cleary.
Yeah.
But
Marzio, I think you can punt. He's pretty.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Today's game, 22-18. Stephen Crichton, top scores 124. One of the best games I've seen Stephen Crichton play, and he's played some good games. He looked really good. SuperCoach-wise, is he an option in the future? I personally don't think so, but he's starting to look at his scores over the last couple of weeks, 101, 67, and 124. He's had some bigger scores in there, and they like going that right side as well.
Yeah, well, the Dogs have finally realised that he's the best centre in the comp, so they're actually giving him ball. Early on the season when the Dogs weren't winning games, they just were kind of shifting it all over the place and not really having any direction. But he's absolutely killing it. And he had, like you said, one of the best games I've seen him play. Obviously, he's going to be playing Origin, so he's not going to be playing round 16. Doesn't play next week either. But, yeah, one to look out for. If he can continue and the Dogs continue playing like they are, I think he could be a sneaky pod for the run home, pending the Dogs kind of run of games.
Yep. I don't mind it. Connor Tracy, 505,000 tons up. He looked really good today. And one of the guys in our chat, shout out Liam Howe. It feels like we shout him out every week, but he got him in last week. And I've actually got to bring up something else, which is kind of related, but we had a bet that Brendan Hands would play. The line was 65 minutes. I bet he would play more. Howie bet he would play less, and he played 69 minutes. So I think the bet was I got to wear a Queensland jersey on the next podcast, on next week's podcast, if Hands played less. If he played more, he shouted me a 6-pack of beer. So he like transferred the money, and I was like, no, don't actually do it. So we're going to put on a group bet during the week for round 15. So I think we'll do, what do you reckon? Like 3 try scorers or like 3 winners, or what do you reckon?
Oh, mate, whatever the group's feeling for locks, I reckon. We'll conjure something up. And
I agree. We'll Tracy Blake Wilson, 86 points. Is he going to be relevant? What's his price? Break even of 101, so he goes down. I can't really get him. Blake Wilson. Carraz, 65 points. He looked really good. Sam Hughes, 41 points. Preston went off with a broken ankle. He looks like he's going to be out for a long amount of time. Maybe not too long, but a lot of people did get him in, and it's a bit of a kick in the dick to them.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. I mean, he kind of has just eased his way back from injury, and he cops another one. And yeah, unfortunate for people that brought him in, probably brought him in last week. So yeah, as you said, kick in the dick.
Matt Burton, 39 points, and we do have the stats up here right now. Jay Schubert is a wizard, very quick on the Twitters. He loses 32K, so he goes down to 730K. So I only make 50K by going him to Jerome Hughes, which sucks because it was going to be 100K that I was going to make. But yeah, make 50K by doing that trade. He will have a break even of 109 with a bye next week and potentially not playing round 16 because of Origin. Easier sell if you have him.
Well, I have him, and I wasn't really considering it, but now I kind of am. Yeah, he kind of he seems like a convenient sell, really. You're going to net probably a lot of cash from him as well. So, I don't know. Yeah, that's a tough one. I wasn't expecting to be so torn on that one, Savs. Obviously, you are selling, so maybe I should go that way as well.
Yeah,
doing things pretty well this season.
Yeah, I definitely planned on selling, and I think because Jerome Hughes is a clear path to Nico Hines, whereas and good buy coverage as well. So that's why I like it. And Jerome Hughes has got that score in his rolling average, so it's guaranteed to work, or at least not be a train wreck. So I'm very happy to do it, and the fact that he has the buy next week, it makes it way easier for me. For the Parramatta Eels, Kelma Tuolangi top scores with 67 points. He makes 71K. He'll be 420K next week, which is pretty good with a -7 break even. He's playing 80 minutes on that left edge because Sean Lane is playing through the middle now. I don't see Ryan Madison coming back being an issue for him, but he scored 57 and 73 in the last 2 weeks. 67 just gone. I mean, I want to be getting in round 16 players if I'm getting in players, but he's pretty tempting, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, tempting a couple of weeks ago when he was like under 300K, but now he's kind of priced at, a bit awkward. Now you're paying a bit more. I mean, he scored that 67 with a try, and he had some absolute howling errors. I mean, so did Bryce Cartwright as well, but he looks like he's locked into the edge. So, I mean, you're going to get 80 minutes from him, but I mean, everyone kind of started with Sean Lane and hurried to get rid of him. What's Tuolangi's price is going to be the same as what Sean Lane was when we all, started with him. So I think it's kind of the same situation.
I just have to bring this up before I move on. For the record, no one talking about how good Savs and Mo is.
Sav's creating his own press here.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here commenting. Thank you, Hamando. You're a legend. You're a legend. I love you. We're going to answer some questions just quickly after we wrap up the next couple. And then we'll wrap it up completely. But Blaze Lungy, 63 points. And this is one I was very interested in. He makes 70K. So it goes up to 600K. Break even of 40 next week.
Oh, perfect sell. Perfect time to sell.
Perfect sell for mine.
Can upgrade, downgrade for cash.
Yep.
Perfect.
I love it. Not much else doing here. Mitch Moses, 46 points. I think he's locked himself into Origin Game 2. What are your thoughts as a Sharks fan?
Yeah, I mean, Supercoach wise, he didn't score well, but I thought he was quite good for a lot of that game. I think they have to go Moses. I mean, he played game 3 last year that we won. Nico just didn't really do it. Doesn't have the kicking game, Nico, and I think with Moses' kicking game, that's what you need in Origin. I mean, we see what Daly Cherry Evans does every single game just with his kicking game. So I think, yeah, they have to go Moses.
Swift, I see your questions. I was going to get it up straight after we finish, so I'll get it up. Dylan Brown, 44 points with the try assist. Hopefully we get some updates because these scores seem quite low, but I was watching the game. I'm not expecting too many updates, to be honest.
No.
So Brendan Hands, 32 points. He makes 44K with a -6 break even next week. So
hopefully Lussick just doesn't keep coming on the bench and Hands, get some attacking stats. He's going to need that to kind of, shoot that price. So
yeah,
hopefully.
Hopgood loses 21K with a score of what did he score? 32 points. Obviously backing up from Origin. 640K with 103 break even next week. So, I mean, we're going to have a lot of these guys who are at a very similar price, very cheap, 550K ish. Who it's gonna feel so juicy jumping on all these guys.
Yeah, like we had all the backs go nuts after Origin, all the forwards kind of, Hopgood, you have Ola Kawadu, they have copped injuries or, were managed and they're going to lose money. So, yeah, it's going to be juicy after Origin.
It's going to be very juicy. And we'll go through our options post-buy period for tomorrow's podcast. So keep an eye out for that. We do have a couple of questions. Swift AU, he's been waiting for a long time. Do you think I should go Brian To'o as a pod? And I just want to say, don't be that guy who trades in the highest scoring player from the week before. Look for the guy who's going to score the highest next week. And have a look at all the matchups. Like, I think Brian Kelly is one of them guys. He's consistently scoring 60s, plays the Tigers, who outside back-wise are just ridiculous. They're pretty dreadful. I feel like Brian Kelly could be a guy who gets a lot of points next week.
Oh, no, but Kelly doesn't really have that ceiling. But against the Tigers, anyone has a ceiling, so you could be onto something.
Yep.
But yeah, as for Brian To'o, I mean, he's going to play next week, not play the week after. Probably backs up, so it's going to miss a couple games. Maybe look for the next guy who's going to score big. I
guess the thing is, if To'o is in your final 17, then I don't mind going early. But for me, To'o's not very exciting for me. I feel like he's very up and down, and like he'll average 70 for the season, but
it's made up of 40s and 120s.
Yeah. No, we've already said that. Would you trade Cooler?
Yeah, he was quite poor. I know they went that way, but they just kept cutting him out and going to the winger. And it looks like that Hopewadi's going to stay at fullback until Tom comes back. So, yeah, I'm not too sure what Cooler's price is at now, but I don't really see it getting very good for him. So, yeah, maybe look to move him on to someone else like a Dallin.
I think I'd just wait a week or two. Like just wait till
Origin.
Wait till round 17. You'll need the numbers in. Actually, they have the buy in round 17 as well. So
sell him off around 17.
Yes, sell him off.
It could be quite cheap by then.
They've got the Dragons and the Rabbitohs in the next 2 weeks. So defensively, them sides are not perfect. So I'd probably hold Cooler. The Manly actually have a pretty good draw for the rest of the season. They've got a few teams which are
actually, is that 500K? Because he had a low break even. So yeah, decent draw.
I guess 17 points. No wonder you're asking the question.
Yeah.
17 points. He probably has a high break even next week. Yeah, I think if your coverage is all right for round 16, I don't mind selling because you're not really getting what you probably purchased him for. You're expecting to play fullback.
Yeah.
And I think Tommy's probably due back in 2 or 3 weeks anyway. So
yeah, round 18, I think. So
yeah, there you go.
Away at all
right, cool. That's it. Cheers for coming on, Jake. I know it's been a tough carry after, one of the boys who actually did well this week. I thought they would have wanted to come on and show face.
Yeah, I know. You've thrown me on after already playing 75 minutes. Mikey's gone down injured and get back out there and take a hit off the back fence. So it's been painful, but it's good to be back after a long stint. Thank you.
It's very good to have you on. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll be back for the Tuesday podcast. And Jake and Mikey, I assume for the first time in, a month?
I'm going to forget what Mikey looks like.
Yeah, first time in a month. You missed Magic Round.
I know. I was devastated because I've been like the last 3 years before that. But yeah, I was, over in the States, so I couldn't really go. But it looks like you all had an absolute blast. So hopefully next year I can attend.
We did. You locked in for next year, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Unless something happens, but I'll be there.
Good. I'm glad to have you there next year because my first one went off with a bang, and I just remember one of the first Magic Rounds. You and Addo had a photo.
Yes. That was the very very first Magic Round, and there was quite a lot of super coaches there.
And it was weird because it was like it wasn't like a full established event, I guess. And
no, we were at the same pub and like, hey, man, we go.
Yeah.
Photo,
when I saw that photo, I was like so jealous. And then the next year, like last year was just crazy. Like I think
because Timmy went last year. And, I remember seeing Timmy there. So and you weren't, but he's finally broken his virginity of Magic Round, and he's raring to go for a second time.
Yeah, hopefully all of us can go in 1 year. I'm sure after Mikey's been on Magic Round this year, he won't miss another one. I'm not missing another one now, and I'm sure after this year, you're not going to miss. So Timmy's going to be the one that probably misses next year then.
He'll be there.
Yeah, I have no doubt he will be. All right, thanks for coming on, and good luck with your Supercoach this week, and we'll see you for Teamless Tuesday tomorrow night.
Peace.